New at 5. All this week, we've been bringing you stories from all across the coast in remembrance of the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Tonight, WXXV's Megan Fayard brings you a story of survival and resilience from ground zero. Megan is live in the studio right now with more. Megan?
Thanks, Dave. I sat down with former Waveland police officers who recount the very moment their lives changed forever. First responders are the ones tasked with saving others, but this is their story of survival in the midst of chaos. On the day of the storm, Waveland police officers were set to wait out the Category 5 hurricane from the police station on Highway 90, preparing to help with recovery efforts after it passed. But their morning took a turn for the worse when, without warning, water began flowing slowly, then all at once into the building. Within minutes, the water was waist deep, and the windows of the building were boarded shut, making it difficult to escape.
The water was so high at the point where we couldn't even get the doors open to go outside, so we had to break the glass. And once we broke the glass of the front doors, all the water started rushing in and washed one of the girls to the back. We had to get her back. Some of the other people got her back out.
A group of officers climbed to the roof, while others swam to a nearby red-tipped bush and hung on for nearly 8 hours as water and people rushed by them, climbing higher as the surge rose. John Saltarelli was one of those officers.
We had about 12 foot of water right here, 3 to 4 foot white caps, and I believe it was about 140 mile an hour wind. As the water would come up, you just kind of scaled your way up the branches, and I tried to keep the water about chest deep just to make sure there was nothing that could sweep me away and I at least had something to hold on to. And this traffic device sign here is what I used to try to gauge when the water was rising and then when it would recede. In the last I kind of remember, the water was right about where the yellow light is, creeping up onto the red indicator. And that's the original sign. I don't think that sign's ever been taken out or moved.
John says he remembers those long hours vividly, but in those moments, the only thing that mattered was survival.
Everything slows down, so what 8 hours felt like, a week. And again, you're just trying to figure out, what is the next step? When will the water stop rising? When does it start to recede? And of course, you're taking in everything around you. I could smell at some point, gasoline, then you smell detergent, items like that were actually coming out of the Waveland market. Again, it's just survival. You're just, what is the next step?
He says that he and the other officers were unable to help as people floated by. One family passed them by on a raft and hung onto a sign for hours until the water receded.
The citizens rely on us, right? We're supposed to be the ones that come to their rescue and be their heroes, and when it's literally every man for himself, it's a very humbling thing as well. Just knowing there's nothing left, there's nothing here, there's no way to get. If I wanted to, I couldn't get to them.
When the storm passed and the water began moving back out, the officers were rescued, but their city no longer looked like home. Waveland was named Ground Zero, and nearly every building in sight was left flattened.
There was nothing. It was just totally a slab.
It's humbling. You go from, I don't want to say having everything, but you go from having a normal life. You wake up each day, God graces us to live and fulfill, and then within 8 hours, it's all gone. Everything's gone. And then when you try to come back from that, again, the humbling part is how long it takes to truly recover from something like that. And not everybody was blessed enough to do that.
The police department was eventually torn down and rebuilt nearly 2 miles away from what is now an empty lot that tells a story which won't soon be forgotten. 20 years later, scars are still left behind.
We all have a different way of processing things, and I put it in, kind of small chunks, and I kind of store it in a box, and every now and then something will come up. As I mentioned earlier, you see something, and it's kind of a reminder, and it does take you back to that time, but, I don't know if you ever fully recover from it. I don't know if you ever fully move on. I think we just store it away, and we just, for some, try to leave it there. But yeah, 20 years later, it's, you know, being here in this town, it's a reminder.
Dave, these are just two of the many stories of survival that have been told over the decades. But talking with John and Laura, it's the spirit of resilience and rebirth that has carried so many South Mississippians forward over the past 20 years. Dave, back to you.